How's it going, everybody? This is BeatTheBush. Today I'm going to talk about something of utmost importance. It's not directly related to money, but if you do not have this, all the money in the world is not going to matter. And this is health. Today I'm going to talk about various topics such as gluten sensitivity, glyphosate in your food, and all the cheap food that you can buy or the stuff that they give away could be harmful to your health. I'm going to go over why that is. It's a little bit complicated. If you haven't really dug deep into this, I'm just going to give a pretty big overview of my views on all of this. This video is brought to you by Webull. You can get 5 free shares of stock, one valued between $300 and $300 just for opening up an account. If you deposit any amount of money, even a penny, you're gonna get 4 free shares of stock, each valued between $8 and $2,000. If you're into cryptos, you can trade $1 worth of crypto and you can get $5 worth of cryptos for free. The 5 free share deal lasts until the end of 2021, and the crypto deals ends on the 28th of December, which is probably just today that I'm releasing this video. If you guys are interested, check out my referral link down in the video description below and it will help me out greatly. As you guys know, I've been suffering from some kind of allergy that is pretty much undiagnosed. I have some ideas what it is, but it's gotten to a point where it's kind of torn me down. I would wake up in the middle of the night and the next day I would wake up at 11, sleep like 10, 11 hours because I'm not getting very good sleep, and it'd be like an itch ball. Suffice to say, it really damages the amount of time, the amount of concentration I can put into these videos because of this. When you don't have your health like I have, nothing else really matters. You only really realize this after you get in a position where you cannot do anything else. And so no matter what your bank account says, it doesn't really matter. So how much is there, right? You can't use any of it comfortably, so yeah, wealth is health. In order to impress upon you that this is not just an imaginary thing in my head, that I just have some allergies that are only particular to me, I think this is a widespread problem across the entire United States. I want to make this video to make this known to you. Even if you don't have any health problems, I really think you should watch it all the way through just to hear me out and just kind of put it on the back of your mind that something like that is out there. And if you have problems in the future, just think about that I made this video, whatever I said in it, you just kind of reflect on it. Maybe it's going to help you in the future. CNN Health says, jurors give $289 million to a man they said got cancer from Monsanto's Roundup weed killer. This guy sprayed weed killer, he used it, and he happened to get some kind of cancer from it, and jurors agreed that it was because of Monsanto's weed killer, which the main ingredient in it is glyphosate. Roundup maker paid $10 billion to settle cancer suits. Bayer faced tens of thousands of claims linking the weed killer to cases of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Some of the money is set aside for future cases. Now, I'm not sure if this really means that they're going to set aside $10 billion. And so for all future cases, from here on out, the $10 billion is the maximum that they're going to pay out. I am not sure if this is the case or not. You can see some headlines here and there about glyphosate, but many other countries actually ban this product and the food products that has high amounts of glyphosate in it. Germany to ban use of glyphosate weed killer by end of 2023. Chemical is blamed for death of insects and suspected to cause cancer in humans. Here's a graph of celiac disease, which is a kind of gluten sensitivity. And you have a line that says how much glyphosate is used on wheat, how many pounds of it in total that they pour on top of a wheat. Now, you have to understand that correlation does not mean causation, right? You put two graphs together and then go, oh, just because both are going up, one caused another. But in this case, I really truly believe it really does cause it. But I just want to mention that I am aware that you cannot put two graphs together and say one caused the other. An example of this would be, let's say I tap my foot and all of a sudden a dog outside barks. I tap my foot again, dog barks again. I tap my foot 2 times, dog barks 2 times. And just from this small tiny experiment, you might think maybe my foot tapping is the cause of a dog barking, but this is not enough data, right? This is an example of correlation because every single time I tap my foot, there's a dog barking, but this is not causation. The tapping of my foot does not cause the dog to bark. A minute later, maybe I tap my foot, the dog doesn't bark. I tap my foot 3 more times, the dog doesn't bark. So this proves that the foot tapping is not a cause of the dog barking, and I only find this out after where I do some more experiments. Let me start off by saying that I am not a doctor. I am an engineer. I can do scientific experiments where I do elimination diets, eliminate certain things from my diet to see if one thing is a cause of my allergies or not. I want to share my experience with you today because I think hearing my story could improve your health and potentially could save someone's life. I am also aware that everybody's body is different. My body is definitely a bit more sensitive than other people. Like I would eat certain things and I would get reaction from it when, maybe someone has a really strong stomach, they can eat whatever they want and no problems whatsoever. I tend to be like a hypersensitive type of person. Whenever there is something just slightly unclean, if I eat it, I might get diarrhea or whatnot. I've gathered an example of 6 different things just to give you an idea that yes, I am super sensitive to everything. Now, if there is not a very fresh fish in sushi, if I eat it, I can almost immediately tell that it's not that fresh because the top of my mouth would, get like little bumps and the back of my throat would get a little bit itchy and I would have to like move my tongue back and forth, right? Kind of go like this, like that, right? And then it's like, oh, it's a little bit itchy. That would indicate that whatever I was eating, there's something wrong with it. It's something not fresh, and it's usually, some kind of raw fish that I'm eating. If the food is not fresh, maybe they left it out for long, and then maybe bacteria develops in the food. If I eat it, it tastes great and all, right? But the next day I might get diarrhea, and usually this happens for 1 out of 4 to 6 restaurants that I eat at. And this might contribute to the reason why I don't go out to eat that much, because every single time I go out, it's like a roll of the dice. I don't know who's preparing this, who knows what's happening in the kitchen, right? And something might not be fresh. One time I accidentally, unknowingly ate some expired walnuts. I had no idea how long they've been, but then after ingesting it, I got like really, really crazy rashes. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it was almost killing me. I realized it was the walnut. So anything that's expired can definitely lead to rashes. One time I ate 2 pounds worth of a lobster. I think it was like really, really giant, like this big. And that evening, I started getting rashes, like a different kind of rashes, like little dots on my skin, right? And it was very, very itchy. It lasted for probably like 2 or 3 days. In this case, I believe a lobster that is that old, they tend to accumulate a lot of toxins. So eating something that is really, really old is gonna give me health problems, or I assume if I eat like really, really big fishes where it has a lot of mercury, that would give me problems as well, although I never had a problem with large fishes like tuna or anything. But I think it's a different kind of problem when you ingest more mercury rather than toxins. One time I ate bread that I did not realize was expired, and I don't see mold on it or anything, but I eat it anyway and then I get rashes from that. So even though sometimes food may appear edible, no visible mold, that could cause problems for me at least. So this is how sensitive I am. This issue is the same issue I had about 2 or 3 years ago. And I was able to resolve it, and I was able to eat everything just fine for a good few months until the pandemic came. I started drinking vodka. I drank like 5-6 shots. I don't know if that was the cause of it, but afterwards I had a couple packets of really, really spicy ramen, which is made from wheat. So I have no idea which one of these really plummeted me into this whole allergy thing. But all of these examples gives you an idea of how sensitive I am. I'm just establishing that I am a type of person where I can detect food that is not very, very good for you. And I think this might be helpful for other people where if they do not get a reaction, but they just keep on ingesting it, right? You might actually get cancer from it, and you never get a reaction, but then the first thing that you see is cancer. I'm making this video because maybe I have some kind of early warning sign where I can tell all of you about all these bad foods. Maybe you'll believe me and avoid these things as well, and maybe save you guys from something really bad later on, even if you're not getting any kind of symptoms, any kind of rashes. Today I'm actually a lot better. I actually are not an itch ball anymore. I have narrowed it down to two things, which could be either I am allergic to oats or glyphosate. Why am I so sure that it's one of these two is because the first time around, I would eat a giant bowl of Cheerios. I would mix the Cheerios with some honey nut Cheerios, which would add a tiny bit of sweetener to it, right? Because if you eat only honey nut Cheerios, it would be very, very sweet. So I mix the two, and then I add in Kirkland organic soy milk. And after ingesting this, nothing really happens, but I keep on eating the same thing every single day for like months and months at a time. And eventually I started getting health problems. I would get rashes about 1 to 2 hours after I ingest this bowl of Cheerios. It's about 2 cups. And for the longest time, I wouldn't know what caused the issue. I would also drink a milk tea with some non-dairy creamer, so it could be that as well. In the recent episode, I was ingesting steel-cut oats. I would think that this is okay. When I got better the first time, I was ingesting steel-cut oats, but these happen to be organic. What changed recently was that being kind of cheap, I guess, I sometimes see something for cheaper. Maybe the organic stuff is not available. And I would just go, okay, yeah, it's okay. I can just buy non-organic, just eat the non-organic steel-cut oats. It was like really, really cheap, like $1.39 per pound. So, I buy a bunch of that and I start eating it as if it's like a staple of my food, right? Kind of eating it like rice. I eat a cup of it every single meal for lunch and dinner. Eating this is not like I get acute symptoms here. I had to eat it continuously over and over again, and then I saw my condition worsen over and over, and then I would try to eliminate certain things from my diet. It's hard to tell if it got better or not, right? But I finally know that it definitely is the steel-cut oats, because when I finally removed it, my condition just gradually got better and better. I have to let you guys know though, once your condition is really, really bad, which might be the cause of leaky gut, maybe it's like a gluten sensitivity. I don't know what it is, right? But oats has evnin, some kind of protein in it that, I could be allergic to. So I'm like, okay, I don't really know what it is. It might be oats. It might be glyphosate. I don't know what it is. When you're super inflamed, I just can't eat anything else. I can't eat dairy. I can't eat beef. I can't eat seafood. I'll tell you what I can't eat though, which is tofu, vegetables, rice, fruits and vegetables, anything just really, really pure. I can't even eat any kind of processed foods. This does not mean that you are permanently allergic to it. It just means that you currently cannot eat it. Once you heal up, you can go back to eat some of it. One time I ate a thing called beef intestine at a Korean restaurant, and I got extremely, extremely rashy from it. And I can only guess that it's because it's not very clean. The beef might be not grass-fed and grass-finished, so then the cattle was eating a lot of GMO stuff with a lot of glyphosate. And so maybe the intestine has high concentration of it, and so when I eat it, I get super duper allergic. The same thing happens when I eat steak, although I would call it mildly high rashes for steak. And this is USDA choice steak. Whatever they feed them, I think they feed them like GMO soy or something, right? They would never tell you if a USDA steak is GMO free, because the cows eat it. They collect a bunch of this stuff in their bodies, and then when they go and slaughter it and you eat it, you eat a high concentration of glyphosate. Like I said before, eating a certain thing where you're allergic to it, it could be acute. Or sometimes if you eat it, maybe you think nothing is wrong, right? But then you just keep on eating it, and then the toxins just keep on building higher and higher. In fact, you are just mildly allergic to it, like me. I am mildly allergic to oats or the glyphosate in oats. I say or because I'm not sure yet, but even a mild reaction is of concern, which means you should really avoid it altogether in the long term in order to avoid any complications. It's like you have a certain tolerance for it. You can only consume so much before your body starts revolting and gives you rashes. Another thing I want to emphasize is that the dosage is important. If you go look at how much glyphosate is in Cheerios, the thing that I was eating, this is from Food Democracy Now! Glyphosate. unsafe on any plate. Now, I was really surprised that Cheerios was like on the top of the list. Original Cheerios comes in at 1,125 parts per billion. Is that high? I mean, it's high compared to everything else. And then the Honey Nut Cheerios comes in at 670 parts per billion. So it's probably a bad idea that I had mostly original Cheerios and then I add in a little bit of Honey Nut Cheerios. They're both Cheerios. I have no idea why one is lower in glyphosate than another. It appears to me what is too much. It's 2 cups of original Cheerios. And I cannot find this chart that showed how much glyphosate is in pork, beef, chicken, and other kinds of meats. But I can tell you what I remember seeing in it is that pork in particular had a high level of glyphosate. But beef is a little bit better than pork, and chicken is quite a bit better than beef, and then fish is better than chicken. So, the worst is pork, beef, chicken, and then fish. This, of course, has to do with how much GMO crops with high levels of glyphosate that they ingest in order to grow these cattle. So my reaction to all these meats is in line with how much glyphosate is in these products. When I eat pork, I get extreme reaction to it. When I get beef, it's pretty extreme too, but not as bad as pork. When I eat chicken, I would say it's mild, and then I could almost say I can even eat fish, but then it's still not good. It has like small amounts of reaction. Interestingly, the last time I got allergic, not this time, right? I would try to eat grass-fed beef. Now, I thought this would be okay because the cows go out there, they're not eating the soy, the stuff with the glyphosate, and they go and eat the grass, right? It turns out grass-fed beef is not actually full grass-fed. They would actually grass-fed, and then at the end, they would eat grain or like whatever, stuff with glyphosate in it, and they would not have to say that it's grain-fed, grain-finished or anything. It's just gonna say grass-fed. So there's certain levels of beef. And I have indeed tried grass-fed beef before. Even though I was wildly allergic to beef, I did an experiment on myself where I purposely went and bought really expensive grass-fed beef, and it turns out I had very mild reaction. I remember it was about 1/10 the reaction of having regular USDA choice beef that's not grass-fed. I thought, okay, why is there some residual reaction? Well, later on I found out that even this grass-fed beef is like grain finished, wheat finished. I don't know what they're eating over there, but in the future I'm gonna be trying grass-fed and grass-finished beef, which is even more expensive. It costs about $29 per pound. So how does all this have to do with money, right? It's because if you happen to be able to afford it, then you can go and buy more expensive things like organic foods and stuff, and then you can avoid a lot of these cheap foods. What do lower income people have to buy? They have to buy cheaper foods. They buy 99-cent bread. They go eat at fast food all the time. I am guilty of eating fast food because I am just a little cheap. Sometimes they give away free fast food. It's like, oh, $1, you can have a Whopper. Little do we know that the bun in it is made from wheat, the really cheap stuff. The beef, it's not grass-fed beef. You're not gonna get like, running chicken. It's like yellow chicken. They can walk around on the grassy fields and have a bunch of places to run around. When you eat fast food, there's also corn syrup in soda, which is made from GMO corn, which may have glyphosate. But I think you have to keep in mind that all of these things may have some glyphosate in it, but you also have to keep in mind what your total ingestion level is. Maybe you can eat all of this and just eat it once a week. But then at home, you don't go around eating glyphosate every single day. You eat clean the rest of the time, and then you just, once in a while, indulge yourself in something that really tastes great, but it's not organic, not grass-fed or something, and then you'll be okay. That's probably what most people do. 2 cups of something that's rated at 1,100 parts per billion is bad. But the thing is, when you have a food, it's not like you can go and check out how much glyphosate is in it. No one's gonna tell you. When you go to the fast food restaurant, they're not gonna tell you how much is in it. When you go to the grocery store, they're not gonna tell you how much is in it. So you have to do your own research. You have to kind of know which foods are really dirty, which foods are clean. And just because it's dirty doesn't mean you can't eat it. It just means that you have to watch out for your total allocation of all of the glyphosate that you eat in a single day. or the amount that you eat continuously. For me personally, as long as I avoid oats, the worst contributor of all this, it's probably okay. Maybe if I avoid eating pork most of the time, you don't eat it as a staple because it's like a really, really dirty food, lots of glyphosate in it. And if you guys are interested, you might want to look up something called a clean dozen and dirty 15. The clean dozen is the fruits and vegetables that you can safely eat even if it's not organic. Dirty 15 is you really, really should not eat it at all costs that is non-organic when you buy fruits and vegetables. Let's take a look at the dirty dozen real quick, like strawberry, spinach, kale, nectarine, apples, grapes, cherries. Why are these on the dirty dozen list? You don't actually have to go around memorizing all of that. As long as you know that if you're eating the skin of the thing, you want it to be organic because they're spraying all the pesticides on it. And even if you try to wash it, it's not gonna completely come off. So if you're gonna eat the skin, you want it to be organic. If you are eating something leafy, you want that to be organic. Let's look at the clean 15 over here. Avocado, papaya, kiwi, eggplant, pineapples. If you have some kind of fruit or vegetable that has a skin on it that you are not gonna eat, then it's relatively clean because even if they spray pesticides on the outside, you're gonna remove it anyway. So you're not gonna eat the outside, you're not gonna eat the pesticides on it. The other stuff being cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower, because there's like leaves on the outside. They just peel all of that away. So your pesticide is not gonna get on it. So you can buy non-organic for those things. It's my fault for eating too much dirty foods without realizing it. And this comes in the form of Cheerios, which looks harmless enough, right? And also steel cut oats, which also looks pretty harmless, but it turns out consistent eating of it is not good for me, or I don't think it's good for anybody. Not only Cheerios, basically many oat things on the market today, like 80% plus, you probably should not eat. Thanks for watching this video. I hope this video clarifies some things. I'm feeling a lot better, and hopefully I'm gonna continually get better and make better and better videos for you guys. Don't forget to give me a like and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.